What is up, guys? It is the Sound Alchemist, and today I'm back reading your questions and answering them with
Gersh1
in another episode of For the Greater.
This is a video series where we answer the questions left by you, the viewer. If you have a question for us, comment down below, put question in front of your question because we get to those questions first. That is what the Fool06 did. My thing did the thing where it flips over. So I don't have the exact question, but basically his question was, where do Chaos Space Marine recruit new Chaos Space Marines? And the answer is, for the most part, Chaos Space Marines are relics of the Horus Heresy. Next come Traitor...
Guard.
Huh?
Traitor Guard?
Yep, Traitor Guard. Well, no, I was going to say Traitor Space Marine chapters, so they turn into Chaos Warbands because they betray the Emperor. And then that's a way to recruit into other warbands. And then finally, there are recruitment worlds where they recruit Traitor Guardsmen. And these are usually planets that have been absorbed into the warp and have become demon worlds. In other words, kind of like Cadia. Mm-hmm. Cadia might become, or is a demon world now, if there's anything left of it.
There was something left, because it was cracked in the middle, but it's still intact.
Rumor has it that the Cadian Guard is still fighting there, because the Cadian Guard has not fallen. The planet did, but Cadia has not. Cadian regiments have not. But Space Marines usually take these demon worlds, and through the power of their god, they use them as recruitment planets, but the citizens that live there live in the absolute worst conditions. Check out our 40 facts on what's Perturabos or Mortarion's planet? Well, check out our 40 facts on Plague Marines, and you'll see how horrible the conditions are. I think it's the daily life of a Plague Marine. Basically, you're suffocating, you're rolling around in your own filth, and then you become a Chaos Space Marine as long as you survive. But yeah, that's where recruits usually come from if they're not already part of some type of a Astartes chapter that turns to Chaos, or was an Astartes chapter that turned to Chaos. Next question. I have one from...
Barbarous is what it's called.
Barbarous, yeah, there you go. So check out our 40 facts on Barbarous. You'll understand how horrible the conditions are on that planet. Next question.
This one's by Colin Wanamaker. Where do you think the Empire, the Imperium, would be if they weren't so xenophobic? If they were accepting of other races, kind of like the Tau? They definitely would be in a better position, but the more allies you make, the more chances of enemies that you're also going to make. So I think they'd be in a better standing, but still probably the same, if not near the same place we currently are.
Yeah, based on the lore that already exists on other civilized worlds during the Dark Age of technology that became friends with Xenos, and used AI, it never turned out good for the humans, because the humans were normally taken over by either psychically powerful aliens, so they were enslaved by these aliens, or they were enslaved by the machines. So check out our 40 facts on the Interrex civilization. That's an example of how artificial intelligence bled into humanity, and really it was just a planet of cyborgs. And then there's a 40 facts video on the... Is it the HRUD?
The ones that control time and stuff?
Yeah, I think...
Well, they don't control time, but there's a time wave around them that kind of speeds up.
Yeah, I think that's a xenospecies that the colonists of the Dark Age of technology try to work with, and then they were enslaved. So in other words, what would happen if the Imperium was as helpful as the Tau? I think the Imperium and humans would have gotten the worst end of it. The Tau can succeed because ethereals are just G's. They know how to pimp a race out.
Pretty much, yeah.
Because that's what the Crude are. They're just they're not mercenaries. They're prostitutes.
They're very gullible.
Next question.
Cayo Hernandez. How many Perpetuals are there in 40K? At least 3 that I'm aware of. You got the Big E, the Emperor. You got the Primarch of the Salamanders, Vulcan. And you got Saint Alanius Pius. Or maybe he wasn't a saint, because there's conflicting records. But he's the guy that supposedly stood up to Horus and allowed the Emperor to kill him. Again, it's wishy-washy if that's legit, if it got retconned, or what actually transpired.
Yep. Next question comes from Mr. Spark. What piece of old lore do you wish would come back to modern 40K? Mutants. Mutants were a playable race. It would be really badass if they came back. Yeah.
The only thing I could think of was the, what do you call them? No, I guess they were still called Necrons, but they were all like...
the ones that are like Spacemarine Necrons?
Yeah.
Or they're based off of Space Marines? Praetorians.
There you go. Praetorians.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see how those, like the whole like blank and pariah gene and all that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, for those that don't know, that's what Praetorians are, or were.
Pariahs?
Yeah.
Praetor? Something like that.
Well, they were blanks,
Mm-hmm.
so they nullified warp, which makes sense because the Necrons created the pylons, which nullified or kept the Eye of Terror from getting all large. So it would make sense that they would have like little itty bitty pylons inside of their Golgi apparatuses.
Their ganglia.
Next question.
All be damned. If a Kroot was the sole survivor on a ship nearly full of Tau ethereals and he ate their bodies, would that Kroot be able to persuade Tau in some way similar to that of the ethereals? Also, if he ate a lot of these Taus, would he turn blue?
You wanna?
I mean, I guess, well, yes and no. Like, he would get some of the traits of the ethereals, but this is something that takes generations to attain. For example, if you eat a porcupine, you don't just get spines the next day. Like, it takes a long time to get these traits.
I do. I eat a porcupine, I get spikes the next day. Or diarrhea. I can't remember. Check out our 40 facts on the Kroot, and that explains a little bit more of like how important the Shaper's job is, and how Kroot have even eaten Eldar, which are other psychically powerful creatures, and it hasn't been good for them.
No. Also, don't eat Necrons, because their necrodermis...
It just passes right through you, kind of like Chipotle. Next question.
This is by Jomel Apostle. So, how many years remain for the Emperor's body before it completely decomposes? So yeah, the dude's basically skin and bones right now. I wouldn't say much longer.
5,000.
Damn, you gonna put a number out like that?
I'm gonna put a number like that. Next question comes from AMS. How does an Imperial citizen become a tech priest? A tech priest is born... what is it called? Hereditary?
Like the movie?
No. What is it like? So, like, if you are born into royalty and you're just going to become a royalty. Think of it that way. Adeptus Mechanicus, to become part of Adeptus Mechanicus, your parents had to have been part of the Adeptus Mechanicus. Otherwise, you're just going to be lobotomized and turned into, like, a servitor or a Scutari. But in order to become a tech priest, there's a lineage that you have to have had. But that's the same in all of the Imperium now that I think about it. Like, in order to be a rogue trader, you need to have that part of your family. If you want to be a novice Novalite, you have to be part of a navigator house, which is hereditary. Same thing with planetary governors. Anything important, you need to be born into it. In the Imperium, I just realized.
Yeah, very rarely do you see like a commoner rise to like nobility.
Right. Next question.
This one's by the War Gimp. Are there Death Company dreadnoughts? or Death Company Terminators. Yes. I know for sure there are Terminators. I think they still do Dreadnoughts.
Yeah, I think there's some watch fortresses that have dreadnoughts deep inside of them.
Balls deep.
Balls deep. Next question comes from Jared Miller. Who is your favorite commissar? I vote Caiaphas Kane.
Cyphus King?
Cyphus Kane, sorry.
Yarick. He's always a pretty cool one.
Yep, hands down. He stood toe-to-toe with God's School Margaret Thraka, and he was like, you know what? You're badass. You can go.
Like, Thraka could have killed him, but he's like, nah, you 2G. All Might. What character should come back from the dead, and which one should stay dead?
Sanguinius should stay dead.
He's gotta come back.
You think he should come back?
I'm torn. I want him to come back because I want to see what he would do in this timeline and a new model for him. But, like, he died doing a really good deed. He fought against his best friend. He died giving the Emperor that chink in Horus's armor so that the Emperor could kill him. So his death was righteous and pretty badass. So because of that, I want him to stay dead to make his death mean something. But at the same time, I do want a new model.
As far as characters that should have never died, Ferrus Manus. I don't think Ferrus Manus should have died. It would have been badass to have like this Primarch in a dreadnought or something badass like that.
Yeah, to have a Primarch in a dreadnought would be really badass. But if like that whole dynamic of like best friends killing each other, it continues again with I mean, you chop off your best friend's head because you're possessed by a demon. That's pretty badass. Not for obviously Ferrus.
The friend.
Yeah. But at the same time, like, if that didn't happen, maybe the Iron Hands wouldn't have been creating that demon through their, like, repressed human emotions.
Yeah.
Who was it? The something king?
Oh, I can't remember the name of it. I think you did there's a 40 facts video on it that we did.
Yeah.
Next question, this is going to be the last question, comes from Kyle Walker. Is it possible that since the traitor Primarchs remember the lost Primarchs, they could recreate a legion with their retainers? So what happened to the Lost Primarchs Legion was that it was engulfed by the Ultramarines. That's supported by a lot of points within the lore. I think even the Ultramarine lore just straight up says, like, during the Great Crusade, the Lost Legions, some of the Lost Legionnaires became part of the Ultramarines. I think it just straight up says it.
Yeah. That's why they're... Well, it doesn't, like, straight up says it. It implies it. When the Lost Legions were... the Edict of Obliteration happened on them. Strangely enough, the Ultramarines' ranks bolstered by a lot.
I do think that it would be interesting if one of the traitor Primarchs is out looking for the Lost Primarchs. Would GW ever do that? Probably not, because the Lost Primarchs are just supposed to be there so that you can create your own Primarch. But it would be badass if, like, Lorgar leaves his little, like...
or maybe that's what he's doing. He's, like, meditating, but he's, like, astral...
Projecting
to find them.
That'd be badass.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Those are the questions for today. If you guys have more questions for us, comment down below. If you guys enjoy our content, we have a Patreon. A simple $1 a month helps us create more videos for you guys. If you can't support us on Patreon, that's cool.
Do you?
Yeah.
But yeah, if you can't support us on Patreon, fist bump.
This is Gershwan.
Sound Alchemist.
Always used to put my freedom first in any situation.